Uh, all right. So basically, one of the questions I have would be trying to just conjoin them all together is about the enemy. How do you know when the enemy's attacking you, and how do you defend yourself against the enemy when you feel defenseless in many cases? I guess.
Well, that's a really great question, and it's an important question because we're all going to be attacked. And the interesting thing about attacks is they always come when we least expect it. The one thing about what we're calling the enemy is it doesn't believe in frontal attacks. It's more of a backstabber, you know, comes in on your blind side, um, you know. So the question is, how do you know and how do you defend yourself against it? All right. First of all, let's define the enemy. I mean, it seems pretty obvious who the enemy is. That would be anyone who wants to do us harm. The interesting thing about the enemy is that it's often a con, meaning, hey, Corey, I've always admired your work. I've heard such good things about you. I want to do some business with you, or I'd like to come over to your house and have dinner and meet your wife. And there's a lot of times the enemy comes on like that. Or I heard, Corey, that you're interested in making some money, and I've got a deal for you. That you can make a lot of money. Whatever. So there's a word for this, and it's called discernment. And it's a really, really important attribute that we have to acquire, because I have been deceived. I don't mean by gunpoint, but I've been robbed by people who've conned me and got me to believe that we were working towards the same goal, and I've invested money in them, sometimes a lot of money, and I've it's all been deeply regretted because it was all a big con. So, anyways, being mugged on a dark night, late at night in the street, that would be an enemy. But that's pretty obvious. I don't think I need to discuss that. And I would suggest that the best defense against that, if possible, is to get away as fast as possible. We had a program at our church for women given by a police officer on how to protect themselves. And he said that if you're accosted, the most important thing you can do is yell and scream as loud as you can, because the last thing a person wants who's accosting you is to draw attention. So if you're in, it's late, you went to the grocery store and you're in the parking lot and it seems like no one's around and someone grabs you, you yell your head off, and of course he'll tell you to stop, but you don't, and you struggle, because the other thing about for women, an accoster doesn't want is a fight. And one of the things this police officer recommended to women is that take a self-defense course on how to hurt a man really badly with like one or two hits. And I'm not going to go into that, but it has to do with places where people are vulnerable, like their eyes and their genitals and things like that. Whatever. The most important thing is get away, and you don't engage people who come on with hostility. They want you to engage them. They're seeking anger and violence and stuff like that. And for a guy, if you're in a situation where someone's trying to engage you in that, don't try and talk them out of it. Don't argue with them. Walk away. Get away from them, because you don't need to be their victim. You don't need to share their power. So, anyways, the problem with a con artist, going back to what I originally started with as an enemy, is they're going to tell you everything you want to hear. And so like I said, I've been deceived many times. And one thing that I do, obviously, when I find out someone's deceiving me, I just tell them I'm not going to have anything more to do with you. I can't work with you. You cheated me on this and you cheated me on that. And so we're done. I would say, before you get involved with someone who's sweet talking you and you don't know them, I mean, they're new to you, be really, really cautious. Now, at my bank, I've had a relationship with a bank officer for over a decade, and I like her very much, and she's always been straight up and honest with me. And so she's given me advice on how to invest my money safely. And it's not a great deal, but it's like my whole future depends on the money that I have, invested, because I'm living on two small pensions and Social Security, and so this money is like, as long as I live, hopefully, for a while. And she's given me advice, and I followed her advice, and it seems like just to give you an idea, I'm making 4% interest on my savings, and in this market, that's not too bad. When I had money invested with investment advisors, both with big companies. I won't name their names, but really big investment companies. These guys represent, and they told me, "Oh, I'm going to make 7% and stuff like that." I mostly lost money with them. By the time they did all the switching around of a stunt and everybody got their commissions, I wasn't making any money at all. And that unfortunately was the inheritance that I got from the death of my mom and dad. And then the stock market crashed and I lost most of it. So my history with companies that seemed to be reputable, that were going to make me 7% a year, turned out to be two different companies, turned out to be disaster. I got my money out of them. If you're looking for a place to safely put your money, real estate, that's the best investment of all. And that's what's saved my butt from what I had left from my inheritance from my parents. Was I bought a nice piece of property on a lake and had it for 16 years, and I made money on it. Anyhow, how to spot them? Well, there's a simple quote from the Bible, from Jesus: "You shall know them by their fruits." And when you're getting involved with someone, whether you're just trying to find out about which politician to vote for, what kind of medicine to take, what you should do with your money, where you should go on vacation, whatever it is, do some research and find out the background of the person. It's fascinating. I'll give you an example. A good friend of mine is really into conspiracy theories, and for years, and he still is, all about the conspiracy to take down the Twin Towers, and that it was a government secret op, and they mined the building with explosives, and the whole thing was planned by the government to, annihilate, 3,000 people and bring down the Twin Towers, and of course, throw the American economy into a topspin. I mean, people lost billions of dollars because that building was full of Wall Street people, and they all died, and all the records done. Well, anyways, so he used to send me these conspiracy theories all the time, and so I would go and look up the names of the people who authored these factual accounts of how they knew. They saw the federal agents going in and planting the mines, you know, and none of their backgrounds didn't check out. Did the same thing with people that were anti-COVID vaccinations. I went in and I researched, you know, this is like, you know, none of them had any qualifications at all, but they came out with these big, long, scientific sounding things about how, you know, the COVID vaccine will kill you, and it's, you know, it's a big conspiracy by the government to, I mean, do the research. You know, if you meet someone and it looks like, you know, it's a really good deal, find out a little bit about them from people that know them. Like when I was I'll give you an example. When I was at the university, I was head of the art department for 7.5 years, and we hired and fired a lot of people. Well, when you look at a person's resume, also known as a curriculum vitae, they list typically 3 references. You can pretty much ignore those, because unless a person is galactically stupid, the references that they give you are going to support them. You know, I mean, people only choose references by people that they know are going to, you know, support, you know, what a good person they were. What I did, what I learned to do when I was trying to hire people, I would call the universities that they're associated with, and it was called blind calling. I would call up the department that they were in and ask if I could talk to the head of the department or one of the professors. Oh, man, you want to find out about a person? Now, most people won't be that frank with you. You have to read between the lines. Like, for example, Professor Odo, I want to ask you about Joe Smith. What kind of a teacher was me? And you kind of hem and haw and say, oh, he did an adequate job. How was Professor Odo? How was he as a colleague? You know, did he contribute to the department and volunteer, you know, to help do things in the department, stuff like that, to build up your program? He did a few times. Okay, guess what? I found out everything I need. Those two, I mean, I would ask more questions, but just for the sake of time, with those 2 questions, it's called damnation by faint praise. You know, Corey, if I was checking up on your skill as a carpenter and someone said, well, the building hasn't fallen apart yet, I've had to do some finishing work to complete the job. You know, I've had a couple leaks in the roof, but I fixed them. I'd never hire you, right? That damnation by faint praise. You know, most people are going to say, hey, Corioto, he's an incompetent jerk. You know, they're not going to say that because they don't know who they're talking to, right? I'm a total stranger. But if you call for references blind or ask, you know, you're gonna find out right away. You know, with the people that have conned me, I didn't do it. I should have done it. Now I do it with everything and everybody. So that's how you find the people that are out to take advantage of you, do you harm.
Yeah, and there's lots of them, eh? Excuse
Yep,
me.
lots of them.
Yeah, I deal with it on a daily basis actually. But yeah, it's a good answer. the question I have for you personally is it's related to that. It's the enemy, like, you know, the devil, so to speak. I don't know what you want to call him. I call him the devil. Everybody else has a different name for him. That's
Yeah.
cool. Like when he's attacking, is there like a possibility that the enemy can separate you from the Holy Spirit if you've been saved? And I quotation mark save because I'm not sure how I
Well,
feel
the,
about
the
that.
answer the answer to that is yes, however you mean the word saved. Because what the demons, because most people are not attacked by the head of evil, known as Satan or the evil one or whatever. Um, Overwhelmingly, people are attacked by demons, which are evil critters, and they appeal to something that you want that's not holy, that's not good. For example, revenge. You got a grudge against somebody and you want to hurt them back for what they did to you, and it's like they're whispering in your mind ways that you can bring them down and hurt them bad. Lust, you know, there's another excessive lust. Lust means excessive sexual desire. I'm not talking about finding a woman attractive. I'm talking about when you lust is, it's like drunkenness. There's a difference between drinking, having a beer, whatever, is not drunkenness. We all know what drunkenness is, you know, um, when you're stupefied by alcohol and, you know, make a lot of really bad decisions, like driving, 120 miles an hour. Anyhow, lust can be one. Greed is a biggie. You know, um, you look around and you're thinking, boy, everybody's got more than I do. Everybody's got a new car, and I'm driving an old junker. You know, um, how can I get a new car? And of course, the devil's right there. It's like, so you go to some car lot, used car lot, or place like that, and the guy offers you a really sweet deal on a hot newer car, and the interest is only going to be 15%. You know, um, and after you have the car for a few months, you find out it needs a new transmission. I mean, you've been taken, you know, on a piece of junk, anyways. But the the greed, the lust for a new car or whatever, boat, new house, and the evil one, the demons are feeding on that stuff, and they get you trapped. Like, for example, you're at work and there's someone you don't get along with, and you want them to get fired, so you find out some dirt on them, and you don't check whether it's true or not, but then you go to the supervisor, the manager, the owner, whatever, you know, and poison that person. And you don't even really know if that stuff's true or not, right? Um, when you cooperate with the demon on that lust for money, that lust for power, that lust for revenge, um, guess what? They got you. They got you. You know why? Because they're gonna now they know now they know what works, and they're gonna work it, and then they're not gonna stop. And it's really hard to get rid of a demon once you've invited one into your life. So that's really, really dangerous. You know that old saying about walking in a minefield? You play around with demons and you're walking a minefield, because they only have one intention. They I mean, I've had this experience. I know what I'm talking about from personal experience. They'll promise you everything. I was promised to be the most powerful person in the world. Um, And the way you drive a demon away, the way you drive that stuff away is in the name of Jesus Christ. Get out of my life and stay away from me. And that's what I did. And it left.
Yeah, well, it's good that it left you. I mean, the only thing, I wonder why God allows all this. Like, why does he allow demons to taunt us and all that BS? Like, what's the point? I mean, I guess it's like for free will and stuff, but I mean, it just makes 0 point to me. Like, I don't, it doesn't make
Well,
any sense.
because we're being tested in this world to build a strong character, a character that's going to go to heaven and be a holy person. The Bible says that when we go to heaven, we're going to become like Christ. He was tested all the time.
Yeah, God couldn't.
Remember the first thing that happened to him was when he decided to go out and do his stuff. The devil took him, and gave him 3 tests. And he defeated that testing. So God wants us to have a character that is pure and holy and knows the difference between good and evil and lives it.
Why? What's the purpose of us knowing the difference between good and evil if our ultimate goal is to get to heaven and not even know what evil is there? What's the purpose of that?
Well, when we get to heaven, after a long while, we're going to be invited to be part of the creative activity of God. And in that, and some become overseers of cities, states, countries, planets, galaxies, universes.
So the Mormons aren't too far off in certain aspects, then, eh? Because they believe we become gods, I guess, and have
Well,
our own planets.
I hate that. I hate that because like there's only one God. So to, say we will become gods really offends me.
Yeah, me too. Regardless, I have all kinds of questions for you. Time constraints here, obviously, but I appreciate the answers you give. They satisfy me to a certain point. This one here, I'm struggling with the enemy myself, and it seems so pointless. It's just like, okay, I know you're trying to take me away from God, and sometimes I feel like I've backslidden to the point where God's not gonna forgive me too much. But I don't know. It just seems like a daily challenge. You probably know what I'm talking about. And Jesus Christ was tempted 3 times, but I mean, I feel like I'm tempted that at least every hour, 3 times an hour, if not more. So I mean, like, how come Jesus only had the 3 temptations and you and
Well,
I
you know
have?
what? There's a saying, I think this was in reference to politics. When you've got really good enemies, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I can agree to that. I don't have too many enemies, I don't think. Well, none that I'm aware of. I have people that don't like me, I'm sure, but I don't know if I'd classify them as enemies. But maybe,
Well,
maybe not.
it sounds like the evil doesn't like you too much.
Yeah, that's good. I don't care. That's good. I try not to invite demons into my life. Sometimes we do it unknowingly, as you probably realize. But whatever. We're gonna run out of time, but I do have somebody that keeps I don't know. I don't want to get into it too much, but if people say that there's no such thing as aliens, and I bring this up to you because you said you've went to other planets and stuff like that, and that
No.
anytime somebody has an interaction with an alien or whatnot, it's actually a demon. Not to God only created one world, which seems kind of selfish
Well,
to me.
let me answer the question because I asked Jesus about aliens, and he said the aliens that are interacting with us in this world are not good, and we should have nothing to do with them. He said there are really good aliens who are close and observing us and observing this planet. And when we become less greedy and selfish and warlike, then they will interact with us directly and give us gifts of things that are so beyond our imagination that we won't believe it. Like, for example, we will be able to travel the universe without spaceships. we'll have global communication without using devices, telepathic global communication. We'll be able to grow food right before our eyes. I mean, you know, a cabbage will just from a seed to a edible plant in a matter of minutes. I mean, there's all kinds of things that they want to give us and will give us when we're ready. The problem is now, what is everything you hear about alien interactions, it all ultimately comes down to weapons. That's all you ever hear about, and that's why Jesus said have nothing to do with them. And by the way, where are all these super weapons? Because every weapon system that I know of that's in existence was created by years and years of work by engineers and electricians and technicians building this stuff. And a lot of this stuff kind of works a little bit like, for example, the dome over Israel. Some of the missiles get through and some don't. You know, it's like, well, better than nothing. But you know, we've given the same anti-missile system to the Ukraine. This is the hottest, latest, best technology that we've come up with. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, true enough. Well, okay, so it's not always just demons, but sometimes we have to, you say not to have anything to do with them. We're going to run out of time. I got about 6 minutes left, but how come Jesus, if this is our planet, how come God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit allow those beings to come here then? Why not prevent them from coming if we just got to ignore them? Do you know what I mean? Or
Testing.
seems like
I mean,
God needs to test us a lot.
honestly, if you're so gullible to believe an alien is going to give you some kind of super weapon or superpower or whatever, you know, your sense of discernment is pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, I have faith that God gives us all that if we need it. He gives us what we need. Like, you know, there's things I want, and I catch myself a lot, but I don't get them. But the things I don't need as much, I seem to get them. But anyways, I find God likes to test people from the beginning of time to now. And it's like, why do you need to test us? Why didn't you just create us this way? And I know you're going to say something about school and you need tests and all that crap.
Well, you got it. But here's one for you. Janis Joplin, who was one of the great rock and rollers back in the 60s, a line from one of her songs: "You don't always get what you want, but you might sometimes just get what you need."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was addressed to God, by the way.
Really?
That's one of her songs.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that was addressed to God, but that's cool. I love that song, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to run out of time. I don't want it to just shut off in your face. So I do appreciate you doing these videos. And like I said, I do have all kinds of questions coming in. I'll try to be a little more prepared next time. I just got a big test coming up that's been kind of focusing on.
All right, we did fine.
Yeah,
good questions.
So. Well, I appreciate that. And I'm trying to get into corrections again. So keep your fingers crossed on that, or sheriffs, one of the two. I got to reapply there because I keep getting to a certain stage in these interviews. It's called the pre-employment questionnaire. And I guess I don't do well there because I got stumped the last few times.
Do you think someone's sabotaging you?
Well, there's such a, like, you go through different levels, right? And there's different people on each level. So I don't think so. As a matter of fact, the people that work there are all friends of mine. So I don't know. And they're two different categories of government jobs. So it's, I don't know, I'm just doing something wrong. Maybe God doesn't want me there yet, but at the same time, I feel like he does. I don't know, man. I can't get the job, it seems, those particular ones. So whatever, I'll keep building things for now, but I'd like to get in there. So maybe you'll say a prayer for me.
If this is any, I will, if this is any comfort, when I wanted to get a job as a university professor, I sent out 450 letters of inquiry. I did a whole lot of interviews. And I got nothing. The spring went by, was when the hiring was done. Then it was late into the summer, and my advisor at the university, I was walking through the halls, he said, "Are you still looking for a job?" I went, "Yeah, but I've given up." And he said, "Well, I just got a letter from a place in Kentucky. You want to look at it?" And a week later, I was employed.
Wow. Well, that's encouraging.
Yeah.
We'll see.
You know what I find every time I really want something, it doesn't come through. And I wait and I wait and I get discouraged and I give up and then it comes through.
Yeah, same thing with me. It's funny you say that. I got about a minute left here, so I appreciate the time, and I hope you're starting to adjust to your new lifestyle. And if you ever need a prayer sent up, I pray for you all the time, anyways, man. So I don't know how powerful
Well,
my prayers are, but
pray that this prosthetic leg goes well.
yeah, me too.
I'm
I wish
walking
you
on.
well with wish you
Yeah.
well with that. You're diabetic, is that right?
Type 2,
Type
not
2. My,
type 1.
my mother's type
And
2.
mine's in good shape. I'm managing it well.
Yeah, you got to stay up.
I cheat with the sugar, but I try not to cheat too much. A little sugar here and there.
I need sugar. I can't live without it. So, anyways, that's me. But all right, it's gonna shut off, so I don't want it to do it in your face. So, I appreciate the time, and hopefully everything goes well with your new prosthetic, and we can do this again sometime. I hope.
Thanks. And from now on, I'm not going to call you Corey. I'm going to call you Sugar.
Sugar. Sounds good to me, and I'll call you Beard. How's that sound?
Okay.
All right. Well, have a great day, Howard, and I'll talk to you again.
God bless you.
God
Bye-bye.
bless you. Bye bye.